We're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today, we're focused on Star Trek Picard, Season 2, Episode 4, Watcher. And I'm joined by two lovely, lovely guests, my dear friends, Dadmiral, Ian, and Braxton. How's it going, guys?
Hey guys.
Yeah,
Hey.
doing well.
We got a lively chat already. It's Joel's here in the house. Hey, Joel, what's up? Text Trek, I am here. You may begin. Excellent.
Hey Valerie.
Hey, Father, nice to see you. Renee with two E's, not Renee with one E. That trailer blew my mind. The possible reference is off the hook. Yeah, we'll talk about it at the end. But did you guys see the little trailer clip for the next episode? Oh,
I
okay.
did.
Then maybe we won't talk about it because we don't want to
Oh,
spoil.
no, you can talk about it. That's fine. It's
right.
just because we watch it on Amazon, it's slightly different. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll
no, I've
we'll,
not
we'll talk
seen.
about it at the end because some of our folks in the audience also don't like to watch trailers, so we'll wait till the very end.
Okay,
Hello,
fair enough.
hello. Shh, don't tell Fathery. And then no Toddy today. I showed up specifically to correct whatever he gets wrong. I know he chickened out of the discussion today because he didn't want to be like he didn't want to have his ideas scrutinized on the air. He didn't want. I'm just teasing. I was teasing. Our friend Toddy is not enjoying the show, and when he doesn't enjoy things, he gets a little. He has a certain way of expressing it. Is what we'll just say, which can trigger Starfleet voice. So I guess he just didn't want to be on here.
I don't understand it, dude. I think Picard is so good, dude.
Yeah, I don't understand either. But hey, to each their own. You know, not everyone has to enjoy every Star Trek. And I,
Mhm.
even though I personally like try my hardest to get people to enjoy all the Star Treks, but also like we all have tough times throughout our lives with our favorite fiction. Because I wasn't vibing with Discovery when it came out, so I love it now. But it
Well, I
wasn't
went
my
for a long time of not watching any
yeah.
Star Trek for many years.
Yeah, same here.
So yeah.
I had a dark period, or whatever you want to call it, a dry period, if you will, without it. But anyways, today we're not talking about any other Star Treks. We're talking about Star Trek Picard. So let's kick it off. Let me see if I can get the slideshow to work. Hold on here. I've got a little bit of a look at this, guys. You see this like little presentation?
Oh
Uh,
man, the game is up.
Oh no, my thing is frozen again. Hold on. Ah, guys, so many technical difficulties.
You realise that was a little bit too much information. So
What's that?
your thing is
My thing.
frozen.
My thing is frozen. Yes, not the thing that you're thinking, Ian, but yes.
I'm not thinking anything. I'm just saying too much information. That's all.
Renee, not Renee, says, Cake, you saw it, admit it. I'm going to screw. Oh, this is about what I meant to highlight was, damn, the chat's going so fast. All right. This is by far the best mystery in the new Trek era. And then Text Trek says, this is the most the fandom has been collectively enjoying the same show in a long time. Yeah, I agree with that. It's true.
Mhm.
We can definitely talk about Time's Arrow. Oh, Trek on the Tube's here. Yes, I hope you heard me. Come on the show, you coward. Get on here and talk about what you thought. The fan engagement for this season is insanely wonderful. So, we come back from last week's cliffhanger with the crew separated and unable to communicate. Seven and Rafi arrive at the clinic, only to discover that Rios has been taken, and they only have a limited amount of time before he may be gone for good. Meanwhile, Picard and Girardi decide to take a break from La Serena as she self-repairs and head to the now abandoned chateau for some warmth. And we learn that the Picards fled to England during World War II, and it will be generations before the Picards return to their ancestral home. Picard once again has memories of his past or future from the 2024 perspective, where he recalls both horrific and comforting moments with his mother, Yvette. She plays Edith Piaf's tune for him and comforts the scared young Jean-Luc, who is lost in the past, I suppose, in more ways than one, as he goes on to say. Anyways, they realize that this refers. Sorry. Uh, Agnes unknowingly expresses the number 15 by moving 15 pieces of an abacus, finding the 15th edition of Encyclopedia Britannica, and then she grabs the 1915 vintage of wine. Look at you, Dixon Hill, she says to Jean-Luc as he figures it all out. They realize that this refers to the 15th of April as the day something will change in the timeline, locking in the totalitarian nightmare that we all witnessed before. So what did you guys think of all that stuff in the beginning?
I enjoyed it. There was a few things that sort of not annoyed me. I sort of was thinking why, because they were saying, obviously with the heat on the La Serena, and then they obviously they go to Chateau Picard, but then they put the cloaking device on, and I'm thinking, well, if you can put the cloaking device on, surely you can heat the ship up. I found that was a little
true.
bit.
There was a little incongruity there, I thought, as well.
Yeah, the little
Toddy
congruity,
wants a
but
link. I'm sending him a link, you guys. This might
Yeah.
get wild. Hold on. But anyways,
I
carry,
think it's all right.
carry on.
So no. The rest of it, I enjoyed it. It seemed to be a good progression from the previous episode. But yeah, that was the only thing that for me was just I found a little bit weird was obviously the heat on the ship. But obviously that allows them to go there and put the fire on and
I just
sit
saw it
there
as
and
the.
eat it.
I just saw it as that like the ship has like has repaired like the most essential functions first. So it repaired like the cloaking device and like all that stuff. And they're like, it's like you people aren't in space. Like the ship's, this is the AI talking, but like you people aren't in space. I don't need to repair the heat right away.
Yeah.
But then Brian over on Text Trek, which by the way, everyone go check out Text Trek if you haven't already. But Brian pointed out that like just turning on the cloaking device alone would probably heat the ship up sufficiently because of the massive amounts of
Yeah.
power
I did notice, obviously, in the previous episode, they did mention 15. When Jurati had got the information out of
She
the
does
Queen,
say it, right?
She mentioned 15, so it's a follow on from the previous episode as well.
Oh, right on. Here we go. But his devices are not connected yet. I can't. He's still connecting his devices. Trek,
He's still
Trek on the
connecting
Tube is in the green room, y'all. So,
So, what did you think, Braxton?
yeah, what did you think, Braxton?
Dude, I thought the setup for where we were going is good. You know, everybody's like split up and like the story is progressing. You know, overall I didn't. Well, I guess I'm not going to get too far. But you know, I like the setup. I'm enjoying seeing Rafi and Seven like be a team. Like I'm, enjoying I enjoyed Patrick Picard like getting out there on his own. You know, I did think it was weird that the heat wasn't working. You know, but whatever. You know,
What do you think of
yeah.
the insights into Jean-Luc's family history and all that stuff? Like that they had fled during the Nazi occupation of France. That the chateau. What do you think of like the chateau being in the state it's in and like being abandoned for a bit? And
I did
guess
like
we
the
get
way
an
they explained
explanation. Yeah, go ahead.
I like the explanation for the English accent now. They have explained away the English accent for a Frenchman.
Where do
They've
they-
finally done it.
Like, yeah, the Nazis occupied it. Like, we were hiding, then we fled, and then, like, in 2024, like, it's still, like nobody's still living there. Like, okay.
And he said that it still wouldn't be the Picard still wouldn't be there for some time as well. So that was that was good. I think you've always had snippets of Picard's background, but I think they really are flushing out, especially with the family, because obviously.
Did anyone ever explain where like the trust that cares for that property, like who made the fortune, like?
I think that's the thing is we're gonna probably. I have a feeling. So like this is the interesting thing, and we still don't have any answers, or I don't think we're any closer to finding out. But like Q says to Jean-Luc in episode 2, like believe me, the blood is unwashable. Like whatever's in his past, he can't, like, it's unwashable. It's like almost unforgivable. So I'm not sure, but I think on TNG we learned that there were Picards that were slave owners. Do you remember that episode, or there was something about his past that was unsavory? It was the episode with the native tribe, the indigenous peoples tribe. planet where Wesley, I guess, learns to travel or something like. There's some
I mean,
wild stuff going on in that episode, but
I
I
don't think
wonder if
they
it's gonna.
had slaves
I
in
love that.
France,
I
did
love
they?
Ahsoka's like trying to grab at
Not
your
like in the United States.
What's that?
You mentioned
That would be
slaves.
the
Like, I didn't
French.
think they had like slaves in France, like in the way that they
Oh
did the
yeah,
United States.
during
Oh no! Oh
colonialism,
Christ! Yeah,
everyone, England, France, Portugal. I mean, it was
like
yeah.
you take in Africa, they had a huge. You've got a lot of the French in Africa. There was a huge. If you go back in the history, the French were there for a sizable bit of Africa. So yeah, I would say slavery was very much a part. To be honest, I think slavery is a huge part in most of Western civilization, unfortunately. But France definitely they did have it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there's definitely hints of that that was referenced on TNG, and so I don't know if we're gonna come to something like that. Maybe one of his ancestors was Vlad the Impaler and became Dracula. I don't know. But we do see, not to skip too far ahead, but we do meet his ancestor in this episode at the end, which wasn't clear to me the first time watching it, but now I've come to understand that is Renee Picard, as Jill brilliantly named her her screen name today, who is mentioned in episode 1 in Picard's speech when he talks about one of it. Yay, Todd, you finally made it back. Hey, can you speak? Testing.
I don't
What
know.
are you
Can
on?
you hear me?
Yeah, you sound like you're muffled, like under a pillow or something like that, but otherwise you're there.
That was my reaction to the episode.
He's gonna be a comedian. Did you hear any of what we were talking about? We were talking about Jean-Luc's past, and we were trying to figure out what it is Q thinks.
I'm listening to you guys, so let me figure out how to do this. I'm gonna try and figure out how to do this conversation while folding my laundry.
Oh, I like that.
So I'm gonna, which is my level of interest for this episode. I'm gonna try, not you guys, the actual episode. I'm gonna try and figure out how to set up my
Your
my
phone.
Bluetooth headphones and shit.
All right, go on with your bad self. One of the things that was interesting is they showed us another peek at his past with his mother, with Yvette Picard. I am a little frustrated that we don't have more information. It seems like we're seeing the same kind of thing where she's comforting him from being scared. There's like some kind of violence, but we haven't really gotten more in the more of that. I'm like hungry to find out.
I've got a feeling you're gonna have it. It's like when they go regression, you seem to get a little bit more information as each time you do it. So maybe that's what's going to happen as the series progresses. You're going to see more of what actually that is about with his mother.
Well, I guess when he's scared, she used to play the Edith Piaf. I hope I said that right.
Yeah, but there seems to be a significance to the roses painted on the glass, because
the roses,
they keep panning to that quite a lot.
And he's picked up a rose, right, like a piece of the stained glass in the first episode as well.
Yeah, and also obviously when he's looking back, he's sort of like the young Jean-Luc keeps looking at those flowers as well. So I think we're going to see more of what that is going to happen there, but you're also maybe of the significance of what the coloured glass with the rosy, the flowers are going to be as well, I think.
Any ideas, Braxton?
Oh, what about the roses?
Oh, just any idea about where we're going with the Picard's past?
We'll see. I don't know.
I'm so scared. I'm so nervous about it. I don't want it to be something terrible. I don't want Jean-Luc to be suffering or anything like that. Any ideas on your end, Toddy? He might still.
I think he's still.
What's that?
No, you can't hear me anymore, can you?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we got you.
Is it good or is it not good?
It's okay. Yeah, we can understand you.
All right. I have no clue where this show's going, honestly.
Oh, he cut off. I didn't mute him, I swear.
No, he said he had no clue.
I
He had no clue of where the show was going.
I swear I didn't do I didn't do that. It's just dropped off. If you were gonna say Sohail did that.
I've just had a thought because you remember back in the earlier episodes where they were saying about the Queen actually says something to Picard that his mother said when he was younger.
Right, which she says, look up. Yeah, look up. Yeah.
Look up. Well, the thing is, though, she could have got that from his memory when he was Locutus.
Right.
So I'm not really, I'm not going to sort of delve too much into that one because obviously they're his memories. And when he was in with the Borg, that they would have probed his mind. So I would say a lot of his memories probably are in the data banks or in the memories in the Borg when he was assimilated. So.
Joel points out, I want to see local French teens poking around the crash site. Hey, Sean, you were a teenager in France, right?
Yes.
Would you ever hang out were there abandoned chateaus could you like go and hang out in an abandoned chateau? Or is there anything like that you had access to?
No, I think France is very proud of their heritage, and I don't think any chateaus are abandoned, especially if there's like an active vineyard on it or something. Like,
no, this one isn't though. I guarantee you, Sean, that there's abandoned chateaus. Like if it's France probably has like the major ones, like, the biggest historical chateaus, but Chateau Picard's just a family house.
I would rather go into like an abandoned building than try and go on like someone's abandoned land. That's the best way to get shot at.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good point.
Like, someone will send their pit bull on you if you do that.
Are they called pit bulls in France too? I thought that was just an American designation for a bull terrier.
No, they call them in pit bulls in this country as well.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. But they're also called bull terrier. The correct term is bull terrier, right? Like if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Well, you've got Staffordshire Bull Terrier. You've got.
I love Staffies, by the way. Staffies are my favorite of that.
So there are different breeds, obviously.
I want to interrupt with one thing. I think do you go by Trek Cat or Dadmiral now? I forget.
Dadmiral
now. It's Dadmiral now. The Trek Cat is dead. It's
gone. Or Queen assimilated.
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay. He got hijacked. He got.
I agree with you. I think that the whole explanation for like I suppose the Picard family line, like the English accent and like the connection between like the French culture and the English culture, I think that's really cool what they did.
Yeah, it was a nice little touch. Any idea what the significance of the 15th? Someone was asking in the audiences, other than tax day. I don't think there is anything other than tax day in the United States. It's tax day. Anything else in the world? Like, is there a significance to the 15th that we know of? No, I don't think so. I think it's just going to be an in-world thing. Toddy, what did you think of the whole chateau sequence with Girardi, and the whole Jean-Luc figuring out the 15 thing and all that, just the beginning, the setup?
I don't know. It was all right, I guess. It was a bit weird that they could like activate the cloaking device on a ship that has no more power. And it's a bit weird to activate like a cloaking device on a ship that's wrecked half the fucking countryside anyway.
Right, you just follow this like.
Clearly, there's something at the end of that trail, but
yeah. But I think if they even touch upon it in the show, they'll probably do the same thing as like.
So they've moved on.
Or that they'll do the same thing that they did in Star Trek 4 and treat it with a little bit of humor, like the garbage truck driver guys or the runner.
The show doesn't really do humor. There was lots of occasions to do humor, but they didn't really do it. I don't know. It was all right, I guess. It's not so much until Picard gets to LA that that's what really annoyed me, but.
Well, Agnes unload. So, where was I? Let me pull up my next part of the presentation here.
Just as you pull that up, I've just had a quick look at the 15th of April.
Ah, okay.
And they actually filmed the scene where Scotty beams up the whales on the 15th of April.
Oh.
So they've done. I mean, because there's quite a few bits with the voyage home in especially in this episode. In '96, Hard Time was aired. In '98, In the Pale Moonlight for Deep Space Nine and Voyager: The Omega Directive was aired. And in '99, the 14th day of filming of What You Leave Behind. So there's quite a few episodes. There's an Enterprise episode, Bound. So there are a few things that are, but nothing of significance that we're seeing for Picard.
Here's the line from the episode that talks about Picard's past, and was that there was a Spaniard Picard in Journey's End, and it was Anthwara reveals that Picard's ancestors had been involved with the Pueblo Revolt in the 17th century, and that he carries some of that guilt to try to sway the captain, a thought that troubles Picard. So I don't know if they'll tie any of that in, but it looks like, I don't know how they're going to tie it in, but I'm still very curious about it.
So Agnes is the Borg Queen, right? We're all okay with that. That's what's happening. We agree.
We don't know. I'm still not sure. I'm still not sure. What do you guys think? Is Agnes the Borg Queen?
Maybe. I mean, I can see.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough evidence. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can see how it could go that way.
Is that your official prediction, Sean?
Yeah, it used to be it was Picard's mother, but then it just makes more sense that it's Agnes now. Like she's all stressed out by this assimilation thing, and technically, like Picard's mother's the one that said look up, but the only other person that knows that is Agnes because he told her the story.
Oh yeah.
I actually did say, Sean, that obviously those memories would actually have come through the collective when he was assimilated as Locutus.
And if Agnes is the Borg Queen,
enough.
she would have access to those memories as well. So
Fair enough, but like the other Borg Queen that we knew would have used it in First Contact then.
Maybe, yeah, true.
This is the Borg Queen, though, right now. So
she's doing a great job as the Borg Queen as well. She's doing a fantastic job.
She is.
Raffi and Seven are taking this bus to a police station to see if they can track down Rios, and we see a familiar face riding the bus. Seven tries to comfort Raffi about Elnor, and we get a touching moment between them. What did you all think of the fan service in this scene, and just the moments between Raffi and Seven?
I thought this scene was really good. I thought it was cool to pay homage to the movie scene. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, like people don't carry around boom boxes anymore, but that's okay. I thought it was cool that they brought back the
they
same
do.
guy.
They just have USB instead of they're streaming now. They just look like boom boxes for nostalgia.
Because you have a phone and then you have this like a Bluetooth speaker, that's like a foot long, and it makes like the same amount of music as like that big thing. And I really enjoy Michelle Hurd's performance as Raffi, and I enjoy the relationship between those two characters. Raffi's still hurting really bad.
Yeah,
for me, this is the second Voyage Home Easter egg, whatever you want to call it, because the first one is they actually, if I'm right, they used the same sound effect for the cloaking device of the La Sirena they used for the Bird of Prey in Voyage Home as well.
I think I learned that on Text Track on Friday. Yeah, that was I heard.
Oh, I did. I haven't seen Text Track, but because obviously I listened to it on Friday when it was released, too. And then I listened to it again today, and I'm thinking that is the Bird of Prey from the Voyage Home. So obviously this one is now the second sort of harken back to the Voyage Home. I enjoyed it. I quite like the humour with it, where before he would put the middle finger up to Kirk and Spock, and now he's grabbing his neck thinking, oh Christ, I don't want to have that Vulcan neck pinch again. But it was quite nicely done. I liked the humour in it, but obviously the touching moment between Seven and Raffi is understated but very well played.
Toddy, any thoughts on the punk on the bus?
I like the punk on the bus. I like that he has the boombox because, like, unlike well, just like punk, I guess he's keeping it alive. You know, punk is not dead. The boomboxes are not dead.
Boomboxes were not necessarily a punk thing, but yeah, punks definitely carried around boomboxes in the 80s. So did rappers, I feel like.
There are plenty of adults that kind of
Freestyle.
cling on to the younger days. You know what I mean, and kind of like to stay in the vibe that they had.
I bet you if you go to New York today to Central Park that they have boomboxes and people are doing like breakdancing and stuff like that as a retro thing. I don't know. I have a feeling.
I actually remember there were some boomboxes you could actually play vinyl in.
What?
Yeah, I remember there was some you could actually play vinyl in.
That
the
sounds
boombox.
outrageous to me. That sounds.
I
really
lived
fun.
it. So unfortunately, Well, I didn't have it, but I knew somebody that had one. So yeah,
I guess that
do
would be
remember.
called like a swirl box. Like, what if it booms?
Oh, it
too
was
hard,
huge. The thing was absolutely huge, but it was there. Yeah.
By the way, the 15th is looks like Amy's saying that it looks like it's National Laundry Day. That's why Toddy is doing his laundry. How's that laundry coming along, by the way, Toddy?
It's coming quite fine. I have to manage folding this stuff and not getting in the way of the mic.
Springtime says, "What did General Kirk do to the punk?" Well, a lot of people are wondering that because he goes for he kind of adjusts his collar, and some people are interpreting that as like him remembering some horrible thing that happened to him in the past, and that's why he like kind of like stops playing the music immediately. And then I think I'm kind of on the fence. I think he's just adjusting his collar, but I mean, there's so many ways that that could have happened now. Like, it's possible that the Confederation didn't even like, they just launched like heavy nukes at this thing way before it even came to Earth. Like, it's also possible that whales didn't go extinct for another reason, so maybe that adventure didn't even happen. But I think this was meant to be more of a nod to fans and just like a nod to Star Trek 4 itself, like by bringing Kirk Thatcher together. The whole season so far has a lot of nods to Star Trek 4, and I think Terry Matalas even said something about when he pitched it something like to the effect of like, this is like, let's see what happens if we do Star Trek 4 but as a TV series or something like that. So there's like there's elements of Star Trek 4, which was, by the way, to this day still considered one of the most successful Star Treks, if I'm not mistaken. I think the 2009 Star Trek finally threw it off that throne or something like that. But yeah, I like seeing Kirk Thatcher also because I'm a huge Kirk Thatcher fan. I just want to point out that he's more than a cameo. He's a huge part of Star Trek. He worked on behind the scenes on Star Trek 3, Star Trek 4, I think Star Trek 5, probably. He was pretty much Leonard Nimoy's right hand, like his best PA or whatever, or his assistant on Star Trek 4. He's directed a lot of films. He has a huge involvement with the Muppets. He was an Imagineer at Disney. He got to know Jim Henson when Jim Henson was still alive, and he's also involved with the other Star franchise. He did the voice, or no, sorry, he created Salacious Crumb, the little guy that sits on Jabba's tail or whatever and laughs. That guy, and then and like I'm pretty sure a bunch of other stuff.
We had him in the short treks Ephraim and Dot recently as well.
Yeah, he was also in that. So he's kind of his cameo in this is kind of like a little more. It means a lot more, I think, than it did in 1986. Just in general, because he's such a cool guy. I also liked
I like that they updated the song as well for this as well.
Yeah,
because it's an update of that song, which was,
and it's pretty poignant. I don't have the lyrics
or whatever, and it's still the same or whatever.
I don't have the lyrics now, but Aaron Harvey on the Tex Trek podcast. I keep referencing the Tex podcast, guys, because I watch it. I'm a fan, but I'm also the engineer, so I like it. It's cool to see, but also just it's a great podcast, and they're the fastest and deepest dive of Star Trek that you'll get. So they come out like on Fridays with like a deep dive on the latest and greatest episode. So go check them out. Again, another shout out. But Aaron Harvey wrote in the chat the lyrics, and they were interesting because there was something like "I still hate you," and then like 35 years later, nothing has changed, and talking about the environment and stuff like that. So I'd love to get a hold of that song. I hope it's on the soundtrack. It'd be fun if it is.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, but I was gonna say Rafi and Seven's relationship I really find interesting, and I like this touching moment that was presented, of her comforting Rafi, and I do like that they're still shook up about Elnor. Like TV shows have a tendency to forget the dead character, and so far we've had like Rafi very consistently struggling with his death, while everyone else seems to be on mission. She's the one she's not like handling it very well, and she like
well,
I like
for her it was like losing a son though, wasn't it? For Rafi, losing Elnor was like losing a son. So
I was hoping it would be like that for Seven
things,
too, because I feel like they're like both like kind of motherly to him.
Yeah, but I think more because obviously the time has passed between the last series, like season 1 and season 2, where they're obviously back in Starfleet. He's in Starfleet Academy, and I think Rafi is something to do with Starfleet Academy. So I think that mother-son type dynamic has grown in that period between the 2 seasons, and I think that's what you're seeing the fallout of now. And in the grand scheme of things, it's still a very short period of time between Elnor dying and this episode. It's only potentially hours, so she's still going to be grieving.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
He's not dead though.
I don't think he's dead, but I don't think he's dead. I think I want what I want, not what I predict, but I want the Borg Queen to somehow like reanimate him. So
they don't even need to do that. They just need to fix time.
And I know that, and I have a lot of faith that when they fix time, he'll be restored. But I
get the feeling it's going to be a bit more like yesterday's Enterprise. So when they go back, like when Enterprise C went back through, the timeline was fixed. I get the feeling that this is potentially going to be the same as well.
Yeah, right on. Everyone's still talking about the Borg Queen. So here we are. We go back to her for a second. Anyways, Picard decides he needs to beam to the coordinates they stole from the Queen, and it ends up leading him to an old familiar place. But we now have poor Agnes left alone with the Queen, who begins to manipulate immediately, challenging Jurati. And reminding her of what she felt, which is, what does she say? Here, I wrote the quote. Hold on. That thing for which we Borg have so very many words: assimilation, cooperation, connection. So yeah, she's totally like creeping me out and devious. I agree with Textrack here. The Queen was great in this episode. I like her more in Picard than in any of the Voyager appearances. I haven't seen her on Voyager, but I have a feeling I'm gonna like her more than in the Voyager appearances as well. What do you guys think?
Dude, the Queen's kick ass, dude. I am really enjoying the.
I know you love the Queen too.
The actress's performance. I feel like in the last episode there was a point where she just seemed like a little like too sassy and a little too current. But I think the Borg Queen is really good. Like I think that she's so manipulative. Like I was thinking Girardi really needs to stop messing with the Queen. Like I feel like the Queen is going to get the upper hand at some point very, very soon. Perhaps when she tries to trick her next, because I feel like the Borg Queen is like 12 steps ahead of you. Like she can do like all these calculations, dude. Like she's like always like running simulations of like how like her interactions are going to go, and I feel like she's like so far ahead of like humans. So but yeah, dude, I love seeing the Borg Queen in the show. I hope that this woman is nominated for an Emmy.
I hope so too. I really like Annie Wershing. Any thoughts from you, Ian or Toddy?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's great. There is, I mean, as for the Voyager, I sort of blocked that out because for the first time I watched Voyager, I didn't really like it. So,
gotcha.
But no, for me, it's her and obviously Alice Krige, who so I'm comparing to those. She's doing a fantastic job, and I think harking back to the last episode, I just quite like where she said, "You impressed me," and that was quite chilling to actually say that. And I think that's knocked Jurati for 6 as well, because that was like a compliment and a threat rolled into one. And I think that's still playing on Jurati's mind. But like Braxton said, she's playing with fire. you play with fire too many times, you're going to get burnt.
You gotta play. That's like another good song. If you play with fire, then you.
I think we can all agree at this point that leaving Agnes alone in any circumstance leads to something bad.
Yeah.
Like last time she killed Maddox, and this time she's becoming the Borg Queen, so it's a bit
True,
terrible. Like
true.
I would not leave her alone. No, I really like all three interpretations of the Borg Queen. I think that everyone always does an excellent job. I think maybe Braxton's a bit right. This one is maybe a bit too contemporary. Like she's a bit too, I guess, modern day. But that's not so much a critique on the Borg Queen, the character itself or the actor. It's more about like how they write the show. Everyone's a bit too today-ish.
How is she modern day? If you don't mind expanding on that thought.
It's the delivery, like the sass, I guess, in the way that she delivers her lines. And it's the
I
same
feel like
thing.
Alice Krige was like that too. Well, she was sexier, like in a sexier, sultrier way. But yeah, I don't know.
There's a more formal way that characters used to speak in Star Trek or in Star Wars that they've kind of distanced themselves from now. They have more of a, they feel more like characters from the 21st century interacting, and so it does feel a bit weird when it's like the Borg Queen doing it. But other than that, I think her performance is really good.
Yeah, for me in episode 2, there was just a particular way that she was talking. She was talking in the way that, like, you know, like the girls like read a bitch on like their Instagram live, like right now. Like it just sounded like too. It sounded too current. Like it's okay that like it sounds like, you know, like sexy or whatever, but it just sounds too much like now. I'd rather her have like maybe like a more cold delivery or a more just like standard delivery. It just seemed like too like current and now for me. It just seemed too sassy. I mean, you know.
I love the sass, but I don't think that's like a current and now thing. I think in the future Spock is very sassy on TOS all the time, and so I like it, but I disagree with I only disagree. I understand where you're coming from. I only disagree with it because I think the Borg Queen does talk like an alien from the future, like the things she's saying, and you know, most of the time, and you know, I do agree that she is like very snaky and sassy, but like I said, I don't think that's like a modern day thing. I think that's like an anytime. They were probably,
but you know, but she also could have assimilated that from like something. From like somebody's past.
Well, also Girardi, like, she had like that link from Girardi, so maybe some of Girardi's sass is kind of passed on to the Borg Queen.
Like we saw in the previews that she is like on the internet and stuff now. So maybe she's been on the internet longer than what we think. Maybe she's like actually watching Instagram lives, like in her brain right now.
I would love it if the Borg Queen's watching TikToks. Like they should.
I was about to say watching TikTok.
She's like, oh yeah, I'm a reader for film.
That's the whole point of the Borg, to like better themselves. Why the fuck would they waste their time on TikTok? How is that like a
She's all Toddy, she's
Sean's
all
got a
alone.
point. He really
she has
does.
nothing to do. She's like looking for voices. Like she's like looking for ideas.
She's like at one point the Borg collective were like, you know what we need to add to like to our collective? Sass. That is it. That is the one thing that we need.
Assimilate sass. Assimilate some sass.
Try to find the most sassiest planet out there.
I think they're definitely not going to get that from Picard. They're not going to get that from Picard. That's for certain.
I think of her as less sassy and more biting. She's just like I just think she's like a, you know, and pardon this crude parlance, but I just think she's just like a badass bitch. You know, like she doesn't f around, and so like she's just, you know, I just see her as that way. But yeah, I get what you guys are saying about that.
Actually, what Fathery said there as well is I tend to agree with. I don't like the Queen's speech going into time warp, going backwards to go forwards, breaking to mend. The past is now. It seems a little weird, and I do tend to agree with that as well.
It sounded so dramatic.
Seem a bit odd.
See, I love that stuff. Someone was comparing the Borg Queen earlier to the Battlestar Galactica characters. What are they called? The anyways, these like there's these like these like computer people that live inside of a bath all the time, and they're like they can see the future and the past and everything at the same time, so they sound like they're babbling most of the time, or that they're saying these weird things. And
People
I
that
have a
live in a
feel
bath and that can see into the future. Isn't that a Minority Report?
it is
I was
very
about to say,
much
it's Minority
like,
Report.
no, it's
Yeah.
also very much like the precogs in Minority Report. It's a very similar vibe. Yeah. So that's where I was seeing it. And hey, as a matter of fact, the Borg Queen's only like torso. Maybe the rest of her could be under a bath. So no, I'm just kidding. But like, but yeah. So that reminded me of that. But I dug it. I thought it was cool. I liked all that techno, that mystical babble of like, is this going to be significant or is this not? Oh, here it is. I didn't like the Queen's speech going into time warp, going backwards to go forward,
yeah.
breaking to mend. I think she says like shattering
is now, yeah.
to mend or something. The past is now. The past is now. It's a very good catchphrase though. I want it on his shirt.
I liked it all, dude. I ate it up, dude. I was like, ooh, that was deep.
The Borg Queen is going through a poetry phase. She does say that to Jiraiya in this episode. Jiraiya's like, that doesn't make sense. And she's like, it's poetry here. So it's like really funny. That was funny. I always like the weirdness of First Contact, that the Queen was this strange, scary thing, that flirty and seductive. She creeped me out as a kid back in 1986, and I never got that same vibe until now. Yeah, she's just as creepy. I like this Borg Queen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The Confederation probably took her legs so she couldn't run from her execution.
They probably destroyed her legs, dude.
In defense of Voyager for just a second there.
I love it when you defend Voyager. Okay.
They didn't dial up the creepiness of the Borg Queen as much as in First Contact, because in First Contact she's interacting with Data and Picard, and she, there's like almost like a sexual tension going on between them. Whereas when she's mainly interacting with Seven and Janeway in Voyager, and like Janeway is like an arch nemesis almost, and Seven is almost like a child that she's lost to, like she's lost this one being from the collective. So the dynamics are different.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, true. Very true.
The 10 forward of 2024 is fitting for the era. It looks just like any kind of divey divey bar that you could walk into in LA. Anyways, we discovered that Guinan is closing up shop and planning to head off world, because after hundreds of years of being on Earth, she's witnessed too much fighting among humans and doesn't see us fulfilling the faith she had in us. Picard reveals that he knows who she is by mentioning her species, and this immediately puts Guinan on the offensive. We know from TNG that Guinan and Picard met in the past, but with the timeline change, that meeting never happens. However, she can sense echoes of the original timeline and begins to slowly trust him, or remember him rather. Meanwhile, we see some of the brutality that is inflicted on the immigrants. Oh wait, it didn't switch. There we go. That's inflicted on some of the immigrants, with a look inside the detention facility operated by a real-world organization called ICE. ICE is a controversial organization for many reasons and is widely thought to be operating outside of the law and decency, based on some technicalities, and also a lot of probably not having any oversight. Anyways, members of ICE have also been caught expressing racist ideas on social media, adding further to the lack of confidence many citizens have that they are truly an organization that needs to exist. So I loved this about Picard. I think they went even further than last week. When we talked about this, Toddy, you liked how like the police were portrayed as the bad guys, and then I think you said that maybe they were holding some punches, but I feel like here they didn't hold any punches at all. Like it was just like putting this ugly thing that's happening in the US right out there for everyone to see. So I like this scene a lot. What did you guys think of this scene?
Dude, he tased that dude. I was like, oh no, Rios. Dude, so I really enjoyed seeing Guinan again. You know, I thought that the recast was cool. You know, I've told you before that that actress has such amazing arms, dude. Like, I feel like she was just so visually interesting to look at. And then, you know, I watched like the after show with Will Wheaton, and she seemed like such a nice young lady as well. But I enjoyed these scenes. Like, I feel like this is a different Guinan than we have seen in the past. You know, maybe it's because, you know, this Guinan has not met Picard yet, you know. Maybe that's why she's different. But like this Guinan like seems like really like weary and ground down and like really like over it, you know. So that was interesting, but I liked the actress. I think that she's really visually stunning, you know. And then you know the
Ito
IC.
Gary to me looks a lot like Whoopi Goldberg, but like not, you know, not exactly, but enough that like I can see like a young jumping Jack Flash era Whoopi Goldberg sort of, you know,
Mhm.
like and then also yeah, her performance, I like that she didn't like completely just try to imitate or, you know, do an impression of Whoopi, but that she did put in hints of her voice inflections into the performance, and I really like that.
Because you know, because the thing is, like Guinan is so zen, you know, and like a thing that I thought was like okay, well, it seems like okay, so like things that are really long lived, I feel like don't like overreact to things because you know they just know that like time just goes on and on and on, and eventually like things change or whatever. They have like a patience. So she does not have that patience about her that the guy that we're used to seems to have, you know. But maybe that just comes from just being younger, you know. And
I quite
she
like
just
that. I quite like that she's jaded. I think the phrase "they took off hoods and put on suits" that is a real telling of the way the racism is working in modern day the world, not just America, but in the world. That, you know, she's jaded. You know, even if you go back to Times Arrow, that's a long time, and that the endemic racism has been going on for a lot longer than there. And if you have lived through that as a black woman, you're going to be jaded.
Well,
You,
that's
you
the
know,
other
you'd have
thing that's
seen all
interesting
this.
about it is that she, you know, she's kind of, I think that she even points it out, like she's an alien, she's an Elorian, right? But her skin color is
Mm,
black, and so she ends up on this
yeah,
planet where like that's not like, so she grew up not knowing what that was like. She grew up in the larger you know, the larger galactic community at this time, which probably didn't have, you know, had gotten over these things, or maybe like the Ferengi never even had like these problems because they didn't start like creating divisions just for like differences, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, just
so
for the
then she
color of
comes
your
to this
skin. Yeah,
planet and then, you know, and she has to realize really quickly like, okay, wow, these people are hateful for no reason other than your skin color or like a difference about you, you know, like a difference in ideology or a difference in like, you know, your culture or whatever. So that's like what's happening on Earth. And so I imagine at first she's like going with it. She's like, okay, this is inconvenient. I don't have access to, you know, it's very weird. It's very unusual, like this culture. But these humans, they're really cool. Like they're really, I see something in them, and I see that they have a lot of potential. Look at these great, they have a wonder for life. They have like a lust for life, if you will, just to quote Iggy Pop. You know, they're unique among, they're not as logical. They're very emotional. So even though they're doing these awful things, there's also these like wonderful things about them. But here at this point where she's at now, it's just been too much. She's just can't take it anymore. Like she can't. She's having a tough time seeing the good in humans anymore, and that's what I loved about this portrayal of her, because she never
mm.
met Jean Luc in the past, so she never got that glimpse of humanity's future. She never got that. Unlike the Guinan of the 1800s from Time's Arrow, this Guinan never got that glimpse of humanity's future, so she had nothing to hold on to for all the time. But what's cool is she's getting it now, because later in the
Mhm.
episode, you know, he Picard's insistent the whole time, like, you have to stay, give us another chance, like, you know, change doesn't come as quickly as you'd hope, but it will come, and like he's describing this like really thing. So it's a really neat to me like retell of that same impact that Picard had on Guinan, but at a different point in her life. And it's also like, I feel like that we needed it as an audience too. It's very impactful to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, because it's not only what we're doing to each other, but it's like she also said, they're killing the planet.
Yeah,
And, you know,
I mean, it's just there's too many things. At least before the Industrial Revolution, when she was with Mark Twain, like at least the planet was still like a paradise for the most part. So like at that time she wouldn't have had that perspective. But now, she's
and now
seeing all
you've
that,
got, and now she's lived through hate just because of the color of your skin. You know,
Right.
we're killing the planet, and anybody.
this version of Guinan
you'd have to have
saw-
a patience of a saint.
Right. This version of Guinan has seen the civil rights struggle, in America. It looks like she's been hanging around America. She seems to like America, the USA. Sorry, England, but I'm sure she spent a time in the UK, and I'm sure she spent some time in Asia, and I'm sure, she's been on the planet for hundreds of years.
Can I
So
be a bit
it's
racist for a second?
what's that?
Can I be just a bit racist for a second?
Well,
No,
I hope
you
not.
can't.
Yeah, like
Isn't anyone that's an alien or that has any kind of understanding of culture would not live in the US. They would go somewhere else. They would go somewhere in Asia. They would go somewhere in Africa. They would go somewhere in Europe where there is actual culture.
Ooh, that's a read. Damn. Well, there's actual culture. Damn.
Well, I mean, okay. How should I put this? The U.S. has developed a kind of subculture of its own, with the exception of like Black Americans, and we can talk about that at another time. I think that Black Americans are the only people that have like a real actual culture in the U.S. But it's like everything else is like it's like discount Irish, discount this, discount that.
wow, I don't know. I think this has to be tabled. If you don't mind, we'll put a pin in this because, like,
I just feel like someone in the position of Guinan, and let's not forget, she wasn't trapped on Earth. She came to Earth just to escape her father because she was pissed off with him back in Time's Arrow.
Right,
So she could leave Earth at any given moment. I just feel like she wouldn't have chosen to live in the U.S. specifically. It's like probably one of the worst places to actually spend hundreds of years. It's ridiculous. Like, why would you not go to places that are?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I do think that there's.
Why would-
I'm not disagreeing with you. I do think that the USA is not doing a great job at like being a culture carrier or a leader in thought as far as progressiveness and stuff like that. We seem to be going backwards. But what I will just say, Tati, is that I also understand your anger towards the United States because we have touted ourselves as such in the past, and it's disappointing and it's a letdown. But living here all my life, I can tell you that there's many vibrant cultures here that express themselves or try to express themselves. There's many aspects of American culture itself that are really wonderful, and I think it's unfair to like kind of like say some of those things.
Okay, so let me rephrase this. Let me say that the U.S. has kind of a limited understanding of how other cultures actually are and actually thrive across the world. And so it would
Sean,
be
why do you hate
very
America?
limiting to stay in the U.S. and not actually have like a full vision and a full view of how other cultures develop, whichever continent you're talking about.
I will just say that, like, yes, the stereotype of a typical American is they go to other countries and they don't know anything about that country. And I've seen it firsthand as well. I've seen my fellow Americans in Europe asking really dumb questions of French people and stuff like that. So again, I get your anger and I'm not disagreeing with it. I do think we should put a pin in it though, because that is an interesting discussion. And I think that's an interesting point, but I do think you were expressing it probably with a little bit of jadedness and anger that like made you say some things that I think you'll regret.
It's not refined in opinion because the problem is all American media is written by Americans.
So, we have a lot of nationalism. That's a part of our culture,
No, even just the fact
which should go away.
Even just the fact that they're using Edith Piaf for like the 100th millionth time, without even looking into if there is another song. No, but in America,
and I think it's important. I think it's also important to the story for some reason. Like that's
it's
why
not
it keeps
important to
coming
the
up.
story. It's because it's the only goddamn song they know. Like if you give me a month, I can compile 100 songs that could be used in the same effect.
Dude,
Well,
you might not be able to get into the country in a couple of weeks, dude, with all this American hate, dude. They're gonna stop you at customs.
Yeah, well, they already did stop me at customs because I was coming with Gary and my wife.
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, they stopped me. They stopped me at customs. Gary's Hungarian.
Oh, but they let you guys through.
Oh yeah, after a good while there, they were looking at wife's little passport there. They were like, "Why did you go to Morocco, et cetera, et cetera?" But anyway, let's
Oh
not get
wow, you
into-
experienced this Department of Homeland Security kind of thing firsthand. So yeah,
Yeah.
you experienced it on the north border, but yeah, this is like
Yeah.
life for many people on the south border. Actually, it's way worse than that. You were probably, I can guarantee you, your inconvenience was like way less than what folks on the
Oh,
south
absolutely.
border.
Absolutely.
They
They actually let us go because we were wearing Star Trek shirts, and I thought they kind of maybe pitied us. They're like, "Okay, these guys are just good."
Not anymore. I feel like after this episode, the Border Patrol's not gonna like Star Trek fans so much. But we'll see. Wow,
No, I do
heavy
feel
stuff.
like a lot of U.S. citizens that maybe haven't left their state or haven't left their country, and I guess this could apply to anyone that lives in any country. But it's like there's a certain broadening of horizons that you can really get by going somewhere else, you know, and discovering and really enjoying a new culture. Like there's plenty of videos where people get their videos down because they're just showing another culture from another country, but like the U.S. People running like YouTube and Google, they just don't understand or they can't wrap their head around the concept of this different culture. So they down it by saying it's inappropriate, that kind of stuff. And I feel like Guinan, being the enlightened person that she is, would have at least taken that into account. I don't know. I should stop talking about Guinan because I really didn't like anything they did about her in this episode. It was just really confusing to me.
Well,
God
hopefully that
really put
confusion
him in a
gets
bad way.
hopefully that confusion gets cleared up. It wasn't confusing for me, but maybe some of our discussion will help you figure it out.
There's a lack of subtlety also, I think. And maybe this does come from like I guess the US now is so divided, and the US is now pushed into such extremes, like politically and socially, that perhaps that is just reflecting itself in the way that shows are written. But there's really a lack of subtlety. Like all of these lines that people are quoting from Guinan that they think are really good, I find them they're just so surface level critique. But unlike Star Trek of the past, they don't necessarily offer like a solution. They don't offer like I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It's really. It's almost
Well,
as
the
if it's
show.
just like it's almost
Let
as
the
if
show
it's like,
finish before you say it's not offering a solution. Like I think your impatience is a little troubling because you're like hoping everything's crammed into one episode, but then you're like it's not subtle at the same time.
no. It's
So
because I expect a certain like I don't know. I expect a certain quality of writing when it comes to Guinan, and a certain subtlety in the way she says things. And I expect her to be a certain way, but she was completely different, and
you think she was being subtle when she talked about slavery in A Measure of a Man?
I think she was being more subtle than what she was in this. Yes.
Okay, well, I think for her, just putting this out there, maybe the time for subtlety is over. She's frustrated and she doesn't have that temperament anymore. And so I think, to me personally, that's an additional sign that this is a character that, you know, has experienced a lot of hardship, living among humans who she once adored.
I think Guinan from back then would be tempered with age. Don't forget, she's hundreds of years older. So
she's like in her
think
early 20s as a human would be right now. You know,
yeah.
probably.
So I think she's a bit more younger. She's experienced this. The Guinan, obviously, from then in TNG would be significantly older, and she would have had more experiences as well. She would have started to see the better side of humanity as well. So I think that would be tempered with that one. So I think you could safely say on this bit that they are two completely different Guinans at this point.
Text on the Troop is asking me to read this comment. So did I say text on the tube? Wow, text track. Wow. I guess it's gear. I guess I thought of the French thing. I was wondering why no one reacted to the ship crashing, but then I remembered it was France, so they were probably all immediately preparing to surrender to aliens. Wow. Wow. Oh, we lost Toddy
Oh,
again. He was
damn,
either
Toddy
insulted.
he was
He
so
did,
offended.
he was so offended, or he was just that text track just like got Toddy to leave.
The only thing I add to that bit they were saying about that one, if Guinan had visited Britain in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and maybe the 90s, we would never have held ourselves up very well either.
That
So
sucks.
it's not just America. Britain
Yeah.
was, Britain wasn't as good as that either. So I don't think you can actually say that just about America. You could say that about a lot of Western Europe at that time in the way they treated our black brethren.
Renee, not Renee, Jill points out Guinan from 400 years into the future is so subtle and wise because she has suffered in her life. And I love that interpretation. I think that's spot on.
Yeah.
And then Melissa says she became enlightened in the future because she lived through all this crap, maybe, but that doesn't make it right. I really think that Time's Arrow meeting with Picard and hanging out with Mark Twain after Twain's talk with Troy gave Guinan a lot of hope. Yeah, see, like, it's a whole different. She never
Dynamic,
had that
yeah.
adventure, and that really changed her perspective on things. So, because she was living in Mark Twain's time, there was definitely a lot of, terrible
yeah.
things, civil rights stuff that was going on as well. So, yeah. I love that we went deep on that on that part, but we have to go a little bit further into Guinan because I did want to point out that the quote that our friend Sean thought was too much, I think is just spot on and brilliant, and I actually wrote it, and I would like to read it because it was such a meaningful moment in this episode. So she says, "This place is a pressure cooker. You know they are actually killing the planet. The truth is, whatever you want it to be, facts aren't even facts anymore. A few folks have the resources to fix all the problems for the rest, but they won't because their greatest fear is having less. They got one tiny ball in the entire galaxy, and all this species wants to do is fight. I've given them long enough." And I think that kind of sums up what we were saying about her being fed up and just like, this is a different Guinan from the one in Time's Arrow. Very different Guinan.
And I think if you experience that for 150 odd years, you would be jaded by it.
Yeah. Yeah, right on.
It's been heavy, so let's lighten it a bit. With this bit, did you guys like the City of Forever callbacks, like for the poster, the 21st, is it 21st
Yes.
Street mission,
Yes.
all those type of things? So those harking back to the City of the Edge of Forever. So did you guys like that as well?
Yeah, I loved all the little details. Some of those things I don't catch when I'm watching, but I love going on the internet after and seeing Text Track and Jurg and Aaron Harvey and AJ Hallowell post their observation. Oh, and Dom
and
Paris,
all
we
the-
can't
all
forget
those-
Dom Paris. He's also brilliant at that stuff. So
Yeah.
I love going online and checking all those things out afterwards because then I see them. But yeah, those are delightful. And I think this is there's a debate going on the internet whether or not we're getting hit too hard on the head with these Easter eggs. I don't think so. I think they all seem to kind of fit as part of the story, and I think it's really
I think
nice.
this is where probably Picard is different because they've employed so many people that have worked on Trek before, like the Akudas, all these. But they're bringing back that heart and soul from Star Trek gone by, and I think because they're in LA and they're doing that, so and they can employ these people. So I think this is why you're getting these ones as opposed to Discovery.
I was going back to the whole thing. This season seems to also be doing something very interesting in terms of I always love when Star Trek goes big, and kind of incorporates things from classic literature. And in this case, I see a lot of Dante's Inferno types of things where Picard is kind of Dante, and all these different characters have been his Virgil, sort of showing him, Q sometimes is Virgil showing him things, and then you have Guinan showing him things. So in a way, just like Dante was ignorant to the real hells and horrors, it's Jean-Luc in a way is growing as well. As a future person, he's seeing a different perspective than he ever has. Like the last time he went into the past was with Zephram Cochrane, but that was already a world that was past all this, and even though a world that was rebuilding, if you will, so now we're seeing the world as it was. Yay, Toddy's back. We thought Tex Trek scared you away.
Oh, what happened? I don't know.
Never mind. You'll see it in the after. You'll go back and listen to it.
This is a busy time because we're trying to sell Baby on the Tube's baby bed at the same time. So I have people coming in and.
Oh, cool. Well, we appreciate you coming on here and sharing this time with us because I love talking about Star Trek with my friends.
I do apologize if I'm scaring away the audience with my negativity towards Guinan and what's going on.
I think it's caused a really good. If you look at if you get a chance to look at the chat, it's caused really good conversations going on in the chat as well.
Yeah, very cool stuff. I do want to get to the other lighthearted part, which is all the shenanigans with the car chase. What did you guys think of all of this stuff?
Dude, Seven was driving like she stole it, dude. I loved it.
I do quite like that she said, if we kill anybody, it's your fault, Rafi. I did like that. That did make me smile.
What about you, Toddy?
It was all right, I guess.
Oh my god, the killjoy. You're such a killjoy. We're all like, it was all right. It was all right. Yes. So much more. This was like, okay, you have to give this credit. This is like the best chase scene since the Argo in Star Trek, I feel like. Or was the Lower Decks chase scene better?
Yeah, I prefer like the Lower Decks one through the thing, and I prefer Argo. But then, like, if I'm brutally honest, I don't really tune into Star Trek for chase scenes.
Well, I sometimes do. I love it. I love a good chase scene. Fast and the Trekkiest. I don't know.
Leah Thompson was saying that the producers wouldn't let her do a crash. She wanted to do a crash, but they wouldn't allow her to.
Oh, because it would have been too expensive, probably, to destroy the car or something like that. Do you guys? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I do agree with what Amy's saying. The car chase bit did seem to be a little bit protracted. It did seem to go on a little bit too long. I think they could have edited it and been a little bit shorter. It just seemed to go on for a bit too long. I think they could have protracted it a bit and contracted it a bit, and you still would have got the story out there.
Yeah, I mean the car chase, if you have to cut something out, is definitely the most gratuitous thing. But I just had a lot of fun watching them, careening around LA.
Think about the end of the scene. I think that they're polluting the timeline a little bit too much.
Yes,
they disappeared in front of the police officers. Like the little boy was playing with the communicator badge. Like they crashed the ship into the vineyard and destroyed all those trees. Like I feel like even if it's rural, someone had to see the streak of the ship coming into the atmosphere and over their town and then crashing. I don't know. I feel like they're polluting the timeline a little bit.
I think we need to, as a group collectively, us and chat, I think we need to figure out whether or not this is the same timeline or if it's that mirror alternate timeline.
We don't have to figure it out. We don't have to figure it out.
We do.
It's been explained it's been explained ad infinitum on Twitter. So go check out Terry Metalis' tweets. Go check out
Okay, well, explain it to me. Is this the past of our timeline that we like, or is this the past of the horrible timeline?
So it is the past of the horrible timeline, but it's the same timeline because it's altered. So what they're trying to do is restore.
It doesn't matter what they do at all.
No, it does, because if they're not successful, what Picard says, what Jean-Luc says is, if we're not successful, that timeline's locked in forever. They're at a period of flux, as you said on Twitter, and I forget who you were chatting with, but they're in a period of flux. They're at the exact moment where they can make it can go either way at this point. And that affects things in the past of the. So right now, since they travel to the past from the bad timeline, if you will, that's the past. The past of this 2024 is also based on that timeline. So that's why everything's kind of weird, but it's not that it doesn't matter. It matters because they have to make it so that this timeline never happens. That's what they're fighting for.
It's also, as Amy's reminded me, and I think I mentioned it in last night's chat
Oh, yeah, you
on
did.
TOS, that David Mack did a very long, because of tweets are only, but he did about a 9-tweet explanation, which was really quite very interesting. So if you do have a chance, go and read David Mack's description and reasoning for what's happening in
But
Picard.
I also think Terry Metalis did a great job. I forget which tweet, but and then there's David Mack actually has graphs and stuff. I think you were showing us, right?
Well, it feels a bit confused because when you look at Guinan, it's like, okay, this is clearly a Guinan from like an alternate timeline. But when you look at the punk rock guy, it's like, okay, well, this guy is clearly the punk guy from like Star Trek 4.
Well, we're just going. I think the thing is the thing about the punk guy is like, I think part of it is that you're taking something that is meant to be a nod to something or an inside joke, and using the logic of it to apply to Guinan, but also there's not enough information for you to have any logic about the punk guy or Guinan. Like there's a million different possible ways that punk guy could end up being the way he is. So I think it's a fallacy to use him to explain Guinan or to like point out time's just in flux. Everything's weird. Everything's different. In some way, and it needs to be corrected so that we go back to what we saw in TNG, where they all met Guinan in the 1800s and blah, 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 because all of that never happened. And it's still the same timeline. It's not an alternate universe. It's not like we're in a mirror universe. It's just
Swibbly
our
wobbly, timey wimey.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things like, I think like we're not capable, if scientists don't know how time travel works, we kind of have to at some point just go, well, let's just let the show do what it's doing and then decide when it's done if it worked or not. Because right now there's not enough information we're all like every week we're trying to figure out like how does the time travel work. Well, wait till it finishes because they might explain it. Like it might wrap up really nicely. So that's one of the things that I personally don't talk about too much or like speculate on too much until I know how it turns out in the whole season. Then I'll pick it apart.
We're just in Back to the Future 2 at the moment.
Right.
That's where
right, exactly. We're in Back to the Future too. Terry said that the punk could sense an echo of something that happened in a different timeline. And that would fit with, that maybe he's part Elorian. Maybe that punk is Guinan's, child that or there's other Elorians on the planet. Who knows? There's probably a lot of things going on. I think the Will probe still showed up in evil timeline. So General Kirk forced the half Vulcan Spock to take back in time and Wills, and Punk still got pinched. I don't think he got pinched. I think he got choked. I have a question for you guys who have a lot of knowledge of Trek lore. The license plate seems a little too significant to me to not be anything, and it says 999999972. Is that like a warp? Was there ever a warp 9.999972 reference in Star Trek or something like that? Do you guys know what that reference is? Anything?
No.
No, okay.
I personally don't, but no. I'm sure there are people out there that do.
Just not any of us. Anything, Toddy, on that?
I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. I know that isn't that like the maximum warp drive for Voyager, perhaps? Warp 9999972 or something?
I think so. That's what I'm trying to remember. I just can't remember.
Because I know that there's a lot of ships in the fleet that don't have a maximum warp of 9999. It's like it's always 99 and then a couple numbers at the end because they can't quite get to warp 999. So I don't know. Is that maximum warp speed for like one of the ships?
It might be. That's what I was wondering. I tried to look it up and I didn't find anything, so I figured I'd ask one of you guys. My next thing was to go to the internet and ask like Jurg or someone else out there. Anyways, Girardi has to team up. Girardi has no choice but to team up with the Borg Queen and request her help. The Borg Queen wants something in return, though, and so Girardi offers her the one thing that the Queen is craving the most at the moment: another person to talk to, access to Girardi's thoughts. The Queen agrees and is able to beam Seven and Rafi out just in the nick of time, but we're left with the pair realizing they are going to have to hijack the bus somehow. So that's like a setup for next week's episode. But meanwhile, Picard has no choice, so he finally reveals his name to the very stubborn Guinan, and she immediately seems to recognize the significance. 400 years from now, you will be my oldest and dearest friend. Sorry, Riker.
He did say oldest.
Yeah,
She's
he
a
did
lot
say
older than
oldest
Riker.
and dearest. Yeah,
She's a lot older.
but yeah, so you know, oh, there was also, I meant to put those slides up, but yeah, here's the actual slide of her realizing, you know, who Jean-Luc is. So then, after this, she basically decides to take him to the Watcher, the supervisor, which, you know, basically, I'm like 99% confident that this is a reference to the episode of TOS with the character Gary 7.
No man has gone before.
Assignment Earth.
Oh, Gary
right?
7. Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, Assignment
it is.
Earth. And so we finally meet this character, the Watcher. He can warg into other people, or they, or she, actually. I think it's a she. She can warg into other people, apparently. And I think it's Isis, the cat, because Guinan calls her she, so like her true appearance must be she. And she said something about like, watch out, she'll eat your eyelids or something like that. And I can only imagine a cat being someone who would eat. Oh, we lost Toddy. Eat your eyelids. But this is a really cool scene because I like this scene because not only does she you know, realize that she needs to trust him and everything like that, but then Picard continues to plead with her, and he says, "Don't leave the Earth just yet. I know you're done with listening, but you're not done with humanity. Change always comes later than we think it should." And we get this like nice send off with this like kind of beautiful heroic look at the actor and Guinan, and I can't help but think that she'll be at play. She'll come back into play. This isn't the last we have. This is not the last
I don't think this is the last. I don't think this is
Guinan.
the last we've seen of Guinan at all. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think we'll still see. I think he's said enough for her to stay around. So I think she will be. I'm hoping, because she's doing a fantastic job.
Dude, we got to see those guns again.
Renee points out Guinan was by far Picard's dearest friend beyond friends, beyond family. That's right. That's a good point. That was something
friends,
that's
beyond
family. Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, I love that. That's like gave me chills remembering that moment. I like that scene. Fun will now come and says, I like the scene when Picard tells Guinan his name. Textrack is saying, Picard talks to Guinan about personal issues and Riker Troy about work-related issues. True, he went to see them in Nepenthe when he needed help saving Soji. He went to Guinan when he needed help with Laris. That's true. It's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
I love our audience, man. And Melissa agrees with me. There's not enough information yet to know how the timey-wimey shit works in this episode. I think that's what you're agreeing about, or in this season. I watch Picard / Guinan scenes over and over. They are the best scenes in the Trekverse to me. She is absolutely his dearest friend. Yeah. And what do you guys think of the whole? What do you guys think of casting versus doing like a computer, you know, kind of augmentation to Whoopi Goldberg?
I think sooner or later you've got to say with the budget, enough's enough. You know, it's cheaper to recast somebody than it is to spend all that money doing. I mean, yes, they did it with Data, but Data wasn't in so many scenes as that, or an extended scene so much as you have with Guinan. I'm quite happy. I mean, we all get older, so I'm quite happy that they've brought another person in to play Guinan. Yeah,
me too. And again, I just Toddy said earlier in the chat, in the discussion, that he didn't like anything about Guinan, and I feel sad for him because I feel the opposite way. I shouldn't feel sad for him. He can feel however he wants to, but I just want him to feel what I'm feeling, which is just like a lot of excitement for this this performance and this character. Like, I was even thinking, like, how cool would it be if you know, this is like a fault of Trek fans. We want spin-offs for everything, but like, I would love to see Guinan arrive on Earth and a look at humanity from her perspective over the last 400 years, or however long she's been on the planet, like 200 plus years.
To be honest, I think you've probably got a chance to bring her in Strange New Worlds.
And in Strange New Worlds, yeah.
That. So and there is going to be more Trek. So you could have her in Lower Decks, you could have her in whatever. So there is a potential in other ones, and who knows what other series they've got planned, because obviously Picard is finishing next season. What's going to be following on from Picard? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's true. D Hang says Spiner just didn't look right. DH. There was some weird stuff going on with Brent Spiner, but yeah. Toddy says, oh geez, he's been waiting. Come back. There you are. I'm so sorry.
No, I do want to just specify that I have nothing against the actor.
No, we know. You just did the Guinan just didn't.
I think she's really doing she's doing what she's told to do. You know what I mean? It's just the interpretation that they've got for Guinan going on. That's not what I'm a fan of. But it has nothing to do. There's no animosity towards her, right?
We knew that. Okay. No one worried. But thanks for pointing it out.
When I say I like nothing about it, it's like that. That seems like I'm against her.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm glad you clarified. I'm sorry to put you on the defensive so much, Toddy, but I just totally disagree with you this week. It's okay. I'm sorry. I don't mean to put you on the defensive. You don't have to feel defensive. You have your opinions and they're valid, so don't worry. Even if I would just like
I'm
to. Sorry if I'm a bully.
I'd just like to point out one of the big bits from the Picard and Guinan bit was Luna. You've got to love Luna.
Yeah, Luna was awesome, and I think she was much more well behaved than the dog that they had apparently.
The number one,
the number one dog. Yeah, Luna was awesome. I felt so sad that she had to give up Luna. You can't take a dog off planet, that would be so wrong, So she had to give her up. So maybe they'll be reunited at the end of the season. Who knows? That's also special. That's also a little in nod because Sir Patrick Stewart actually is a huge advocate for animal rights.
The just specified that Archer took his dog with him.
Oh. Good point. But didn't they get into trouble because of it? Didn't poor what was his name?
He peed on a tree or something.
Yeah, he peed on a tree and they almost got killed. But then also he caught some kind of disease and wasn't that they had to save him and stuff like that. So yeah, it's totally true.
They did.
But there's a risk factor involved with taking a pet off world. I think that is not a necessary risk. You don't need to take that risk.
It's true. So the Watcher wargs into several people, leading Jean-Luc to a figure who looks very familiar. It is the Watcher, but she looks just like Laris, except without the pointy ears. They go off into a portal, and we're left wondering what's next. So yeah, we get this interesting reveal of this character that we've been waiting to find out who it is, and I think it's safe to say my guess is it's Isis because she's wearing black. She can shapeshift. We know Isis was a shapeshifter, right? So she's appearing as Laris. And maybe Gary 7 is no more, and it's Isis has been taking over the assignment Earth. We won't say any spoilers yet, but the trailer the little trailer indicates who the person is that this character, the Watcher, is looking after their destiny. Because earlier, I almost called her Whoopi. Earlier, Guinan says, I think that's what's hard for a lot of people, by the way, also, is that Guinan is synonymous with Whoopi Goldberg. But I feel like that's much in the same way that, I used to be how could anyone ever play Kirk? And then Chris Pine did it so brilliantly. And I was like, okay.
I have a genuine question, actually. And this is not coming from a place of, hatred or a place of, I'm not enjoying the interpretation of Guinan. Just, do you guys think it was necessary to have Guinan in the past?
I didn't think it was going to happen, but the way it happened, I love it.
Granted, but did you think it was necessary? Did we need it? We didn't need it for the plot. I feel
like if you asked me 2 days ago, I would have said no, we don't need Guinan in the past. Now I'm yeah, because I saw it, and so it's hard to answer your question. because now that I've seen it, I'm like,
I
oh yeah,
think there
it's
would be
necessary.
there would be two camps. There'd
Yeah.
be there'd be two camps. I think if people are saying don't need it, but then there'd be another camp saying, well, Guinan was at Earth during Time's Arrow. Surely she's still there. So I think no matter which way you go, I think there would be people
Yeah.
saying, well,
And
why
whether
didn't
it
have
was-
Guinan and everything else? So
Whether it was needed or not, I could see there definitely being an anticipation, because the buzz on Twitter was like everyone thought the Watcher was going to be Guinan. So I kind of love that the Watcher is not Guinan. There was a lot of speculation that it was going to be Guinan, and I'm glad. I never thought that was going to be the case. Like I was convinced like Guinan's a listener. She's not a Watcher. It's going to be someone else. And so yeah, I do like the way it's all turning out.
I have to say, all of
And it
in
makes
this
sense.
season,
It makes sorry, one more thing. It makes sense that Guinan would know who the Watcher is, because at some point, and it's kind of written into the dialogue, they would have had some kind of entanglement, because Guinan is an alien living on Earth impersonating a human. So at some point, the Watcher, who's doing the same exact thing, may have encountered Guinan. And again, not to be a spin-off nut here, but there's so many opportunities for like an assignment Earth type Guinan and this character spin-off. Star Trek lately has been giving us all these like things that I want as spin-offs of pairings. So I could just see Guinan and Isis like going at each other or something like that, and I'd like to see some of those scenes as to why Guinan is so freaked out by Isis. Like what was that fight like, that that made Guinan be like, all right, Picard, I'm bringing you to this Watcher, but then I'm leaving because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want my eyelids torn out, So yeah.
Stutzman is preparing the biggest Star Trek crossover in history.
I swear it's happening.
Going to be a time travel show about cats. It's going to be Isis, Grudge, and Dr. Ta'ana.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be insane.
You figured it out. You figured it out. Toddy figured it out.
I've got
Toddy,
to say two things.
Spot 73 or Spot whatever. Spot
oh, that's right. Spot 73. What were you going to say, Ian?
Well, yeah, two things, because obviously carrying on what you're saying, it took 56 years for Strange New Worlds between the cage and there. So who's to say that Assignment Earthmate, could still happen? It was meant to be a design.
It was meant to be
spin-off.
a soft pilot, right? That like
it was
yeah.
one. So the whole Gary Seven thing could but still happen. And I have to say, I'm gonna fan here. I think Orla Brady in this season looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah, she's an amazing actor and she's a gorgeous woman. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you wouldn't think she's 60.
None of these guys. All these guys are older.
The whole cast. I mean, the whole cast are there. They look. It's great for us older ones that you've got these stunning women that still look fantastic. Yeah, I think Orla Brady just looks particularly stunning in this season.
Mm-hmm. I agree. She does. Very beautiful woman.
Toddy, did you pick up that it was a connection to Gary Seven and Assignment Earth the first time watching it?
I didn't pick up on the actual cues that they gave, but
neither did I.
Immediately when you think of like what's going on Earth, time travel, or people watching and protecting the planet, that kind of stuff, like that kind of those themes, immediately you think of Assignment Earth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I haven't revisited. All I remember is that there's like a shape-shifting black cat, and that I don't know, like that episode has always given me like Men in Black vibes.
Yeah, it's got that.
But I don't remember too much about it, I'm gonna be honest.
It's a fun little episode. We talked about it obviously on Starfleet Boy Actual here on our Saturday TOS discussion. So if you want to go and watch that later, you can, Toddy.
I know that it's an important episode because, as you guys said, it was supposed to be like a soft pilot for a new show, right? They were like, is it a soft pilot or a backdoor pilot? How do they call it? I don't know. But it was supposed to be another show.
And in a weird way, it's kind of like this thing that Star Trek seems to flirt with, of like an organization that works undercover, or like it's similar to like Section 31 or the Temporal Time Cops, whatever they are called. What were they? Temporal Agency or something like that. I forget. That Duquesne and those guys are a part of in Voyager. What is that? Time Cops.
Oh, yeah.
They're Time Cops. basically.
The temporal directive people, yeah,
People or whatever. Yeah.
what
So
it-
yeah, there's
yeah.
this always this thing that Star Trek flirts with this like these other organizations that are clandestine and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe it'll come true finally. Maybe
Yeah,
Section 31 will involve Assignment Earth type vibes as well, and we'll have like not just Section 31, but we'll see Tal Shiar team ups, and we'll see Time Fleet. They're actually called the Time Fleet. That's funny. Time Fleet. We have one more thing to talk about. The episode ends with Q sitting in disguise at the Jackson Roy Kirk Plaza watching a young woman reading a Dixon Hill novel. He's saying, "You can't do it, and you know it. Oh, sure, you played the game for a while when nothing was at stake, when the only challenge was fooling everybody into thinking you had the nerve. But now it's real, and the fear is choking you. Well, here's the truth. You can't do it. People are going to die, and now your fear, your doubt is the loudest voice in your head." And then he snaps his fingers, and nothing happens, and he says, "That's unexpected and most unfortunate." So yeah, what the hell's going on?
Well, did you pick up on the Jackson Roy Kirk Plaza?
Yeah, so I didn't pick up on it in my first viewing, but also from the internet, I think I forget, and then also on TextRec, they pointed out that is the inventor of Nomad.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And Nomad would have been launched like in 2004 or something like that, right?
Something like that, yeah. It was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
thinking that, yeah.
So this place is some kind of if you look carefully, you can see NASA logos on there too. So this is a place
This is
associated
the
with
Europa,
the Europa mission.
thing, yeah.
This character here, for those of you who don't want spoilers for next week, cover your ears. But this character here is revealed to be Renee Picard, who Jean-Luc mentions in in episode 1 as being a cousin of his who was integral in the early exploration of our solar system. So we can assume that she's either an astronaut or I think she's an astronaut basically. And that this Europa mission that we keep getting teased at is going to involve her. And now Q was trying to do something to her. And perhaps it could be a MacGuffin or whatever. What do you call that? A misdirect. But perhaps she is the thing that the future hinges on. So we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would like, yeah, that's great. But I would like to go back. We've missed a huge scene which I thoroughly enjoyed.
Which one?
Cristobal Rios.
Oh, yes. Let's go back.
Cristobal Rios, when he's in ice and he sits there and when the guy goes back to him and he says, "Who are you?" He asks and he goes, "It's Cristobal Rios, captain of the USS Stargazer, continuing mission to explore a strange new world." And he gives the whole speech. And
I'm sorry I skipped
is
that.
just
That was really funny.
That is absolutely a top scene
Well,
of the episode.
Yeah.
it's funny because he's like telling him the whole truth, but like the guy, it's so unbelievable that the guy's like, yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it was great. I mean, obviously, because I mean that guy's a complete ass. Obviously, the ice guy, not Cristobal, because he's a fantastic character. But for me, this was where we'd had such quite a bit heavy bit with Picard and Guinan and everything coming through, to actually just go back to him and just inject that humour, which Star Trek's very, very good at. It just that the timing was just right to go through that. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
And again, Sean, I'm sorry you didn't find the humor in this episode or your statement about Trek being not lighthearted enough. But I thought this episode had like more than just that moment. There were a lot of little moments sprinkled in of humor, especially with Raffi and Seven's misadventures, and a little bit with Girardi. I mean, it's a different kind of humor, but I laughed when Girardi walks away and the Queen's like, Agnes, Agnes, Agnes. She's like, that made me laugh a little bit because it was satisfying, like to see. Although I'm worried. What's that?
And Agnes calling Picard Dixon Hill as well.
Right, that was funny too. Yeah, there's a lot of little moments. Maybe that's too on the nose for you though, Toddy. It's just a little back to your comments about subtlety. I think he's on mute. We can say whatever we want. Braxton, any speculation?
If I'm muted, that's not how it works.
Toddy, any thoughts on this ending here with Q? And do you have any idea what might be going on with Q, or any speculation?
I have no speculation, but I'm very intrigued with what's going on with Q. I'm wondering. I'm wondering what's going on with him. Is it I don't know, does he exist outside of time as we know it, or is the timeline and this whole thing affecting him negatively, or is it affecting the continuum? I don't know. I would be intrigued to see like more Qs, like different Qs from the continuum, and see if the same thing's happening to them, or I like the kind of grand scale Q continuum thing, so I would be intrigued to see that.
Do you think this is going back to? Do you think this is going back to? Sorry, I was going to say. Do you think this is going back to where Picard said you're not right? There's
he's been off. You. Yeah, this is the second instance of showing him as being off, like addled in some way.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely. Like you know, because obviously you keep on saying we should hold off, before like I guess interpreting how time travel is being done, etc. For Q, that's absolutely right. Like we have to hold off all judgment on what they're doing with Q and how they're handling the character, because clearly something's wrong, but we don't know what it is yet.
Fun will now commence says it is a monologue, and it is brilliant. He is chastising himself about what he has done. Then he snaps his fingers and realizes that it does not work. Yeah, and then he says unexpected and unfortunate. So whatever he was going to do was for what he thought was something good, but now it can't happen. So yeah, it's weird. I'm
wondering if we've seen this because obviously in the first click with Picard, you get the flash. But then later in that episode, I think is it episode 2 or the last episode where he's clicking his fingers, they're going, but there's no flash. So I'm wondering if that is sort of showing that he's losing
he did that before, and there
bit.
was like he did that a couple times before, and I thought that was interesting. There was no there was a flash the first time when he transforms himself,
and then it didn't for the next couple.
And then it doesn't flash, but things still happen. So I don't know if that's just a stylistic choice that they're deciding.
Q's in the same time era at the moment as our main characters, or is he still in the?
Oh well, Cake is Eternal is pointing out that the date. I don't have a shot of the newspaper, unfortunately. Maybe Text Trek also might have noticed this, but Cake is Eternal says the date on the newspaper is January. So is this when Q screws up time? So yeah, unclear, because it should be April 13th is where these guys are. So yeah, this could be taking place at a different time, maybe.
Okay, because imagine how terrifying it would be to be a Q, but to lose your powers, but then find yourself in like 20th century Earth. That would suck so bad.
That would suck so bad. The Q thing is super interesting, and I wonder if this is his bad time with Guinan that made him fear her. Interesting. That's an interesting thing. Do you guys think we'll get a Guinan Q showdown?
It'll be interesting.
It'd be nice. It would be nice.
Do you want it with Whoopi, or do you want it with Ito?
I to be honest, I think it'd be all right with Ito, because obviously in TNG it had been quite a bit of time beforehand. So if you use Ito,
yeah, it's true.
I can't see a reason why not.
I like Amy. Also, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I say we're rejecting the possibility that this is a tapestry type thing. This is not of Q's doing, right? The Q is like a victim in this, as he said.
Yeah, and he even says like, Picard, you're the board that we're all pieces being played on a board that's you. And then he says, I'm the suture in the wound.
For a moment there, I was like, okay, Guinan is this way because it's all like a Q vision. And he hates Guinan so much, or he's afraid of her, that he's made her kind of this way. He's made her more aggressive. He's created her in this way. But so that's not happening.
Amy Nelson says, let's get Corbin Burnson again. More key. It would be nice to see the Corbin Burnson version of Q back again. He was fun. He was like a higher Q, right? Like he was like a more QQ than Q. Q's like a rebel Q. if I'm not mistaken.
Or you could have Q's son. You know, he could come back as well.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a character I haven't really, or I fell asleep in that episode. I think it was an
Who's an
earlier episode.
actor, like a current actor, that could play a new Q that you guys think could pull off a new Q?
Oh wow.
I
I'm
think
trying to figure out like
I think it could be possibly someone like the actor who plays I can't remember his name right now, but the actor who plays Q on the new James Bond movies with
Oh, blimey, the voice of Paddington. Yes.
do you know who I'm talking
blimey.
about?
Yeah, I know exactly who he is, and I've forgotten his name. I will have a look and I will get it for you.
All right, cool. Well, that's my choice. What about you, Braxton? Who could play Q today?
What's the dude from who plays Sheldon?
Oh,
Jim, something Parsons. Is it Jim Parsons?
Jim
Jim
Parsons.
Parsons.
You know, I think he would be a good Q. Like he's got like a mischievous kind of sounding voice. You know.
Yeah, it's good.
I think he'd be a good Q.
What about you, Toddy? Anyone? Or
I don't know.
Ian?
I'm trying to think outside the box, but like I mean, I guess maybe what's his name, Ragnar. He could be like kind of a villainous kind of Q. He's got that kind of insanity going on.
Oh, you know who I would want? Actually, I changed my choice. I want Keegan-Michael Key to play Q. I think he would be a good Q as well.
I think he would be a good Q.
He has that. He
You're
has
on
the ability
about-
to be
you're on
serious
about-
and funny.
What's their
Yeah,
name?
you were talking about Ben Winshaw before.
Oh, Ben Winshaw was my other
I've
choice.
forgotten
Yeah.
her name. Amanda Waller from Suicide Squad and like the DCEU at the moment.
Oh, she'd make a good Q. Yeah, she would.
Viola
Yeah.
Davis. She's such a good actress.
That's it,
Yes.
Viola Davis. That'd be a great Q.
That's true. I agree. Oh my god, look at all these possibilities for Q. I kind of love this here. Oh, Taika Waititi for Q would be good as well.
Oh my
Would be
god.
good for Q.
Into the Q-verse.
Enter the
Viola
Q.
Davis, I think- Yeah, Viola Davis was who played Amanda Waller.
Well, this was a really fun discussion. I think the conclusion. Should we give our ratings for this episode? You guys already know my rating, right?
Don't tell me it's going to be a 10.
It is a 10. I'm sorry.
17 out of 10.
I can't help myself. It's a 10. Toddy, why don't you go next since I know your rating's going to be pretty low?
I don't know if I'm even allowed to say it. You might erase it. You might
Yeah, we'll
edit it
see.
out.
I do have override privileges, but I want to hear it. Go say it.
I've been sitting on a 4 for quite a while now.
Oh, that's higher than I thought you were going to say. So okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna be really mean. So, all right, 4. Well, I'm elevating my rating to an 11 just to offset the 4 and bring it up to a
To counteract.
5. Ian, would you like to give a rating for it? And audience, feel free to rate it as well if you like.
I'd give it a solid 8. You know, I think if I watch it again, I've watched it. I watched it on Friday, and then I watched it again earlier this afternoon, and I enjoyed it the second time even more than the first. So, I'll go 8.5. Sorry, I'll go 8.5. That could improve to a 9 if I watch it again, but for now it's 8.5.
Braxton, any ratings?
So I give this episode a 9. You know, so this is episode 4 or 3?
This is episode 4.
This is episode 4. So yeah, I will give this episode a 9. You know, I really enjoyed those first 2, and then like the last 2, I think are well, you know what? Maybe last week was a 10 too. I don't know, but I really enjoyed it. I think that this is a great show. It's like the funnest show that I've watched in a while now. Like I really like seeing the Borg Queen. I really like New Guinan. I really like seeing Seven and Rafi, you know, doing their thing on their little adventure. Yeah, like 2 thumbs up for me, dude. 9.
Woohoo. Awesome. In 2 weeks, I want to point out that if anyone wants to hang out with, thanks Text Trek for posting this. If anyone wants to hang out with Starfleet Boy, Braxton, Toddy, or me, You can find us at Mission Chicago. We're having a meetup at the Arc Bar at 7:30 p.m. on April 9th. See y'all there. Yeah, I'm so excited.
Announcement.
What was-
I'm not going to be releasing a Trek Chat episode on the 1st this month as I usually do. I thought that maybe we could do something a little special, like a Mission Chicago.
Oh,
special,
yeah, that'd
so
be
I'll
awesome.
be releasing that later on at I don't know which date at this point during the month, but yeah, we'll do a Mission Chicago special.
Oh, very cool, dude.
Very, very cool. Where can folks find you guys online? Why don't you go first on this one, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. On YouTube and Twitter, it's Dadmiral_UK. And on Instagram, it's Dadmiral__UK. Gone through a rebranding recently because just over a week ago, my Instagram got hacked and they've been trying to go on about Bitcoin mining and everything. I've still not been able to get the Instagram to do anything about it. But yeah, so it's helped me rebrand. So yeah, I'm on those ones and I'm currently doing a few things trying to get the videos over.
Nice. Real quick, Cake is Eternal. I will be in Chicago the evening of April 6th. So if you DM me, maybe we can meet up at the airport or something like that. That would be cool. Braxton, where can folks find you?
You can find me at Leviathan026 on Twitter. Yeah.
Excellent. And Toddy, what's going on in Trek on the Tube world? And Absolute Bullshit True Greatness as well.
I'm doing my best to try edit videos. My schedule is hectic at the moment, but I should be having my Betazoid video coming out sometime soon. I've finished writing my Discovery Season 4 review, so that should be coming out at some point. So yeah, there's things going on. I'm just ABTG is kind of dead in the water at this point, but I am watching new shows, so I have opinions on new shows. I'm just not making the videos about those.
And you can check out all those opinions on Twitter, either on Trek on the Tube or ABTG. It's just ABTG, right, for the Twitter?
ABTG. We should. I'm doing more live discussions, I guess, at the moment on ABTG.
Right on.
We were gonna do a Foundation one. I don't know if that's still necessary, but.
Oh, I think we should. We'll talk offline, but check out Trek on the Tube and his other channel, ABTG. Also, I know I've mentioned them a million times, but check out Text Trek. You can see them live Friday nights at 7 p.m. Central, and then shortly after that, we do Starfleet Boy After Dark on Fridays. Thursday nights, we've been doing a Picard space. Oh, I'm gonna start calling it a Picard space. Like that's gonna be the new thing on Twitter. Braxton, can you shout out your handle again? Your Twitter handle. It's
Leviathan026 on Twitter.
026, right on. And so then Saturdays we do a TOS discussion. We just did the empath. It was a lot of fun. We got a lot of compliments for that discussion, guys. Folks have been messaging me. And then Sundays we talk about Picard. And I don't know what we're gonna do for the Sunday that I'm in Chicago. Thank you, but we'll do something, but it'll be at a later time because 2:00 is during the convention hours, so it'll be like an evening stream that night if I do something. But we'll let you know and keep you posted on that, or we might have to do another one. This has already been almost a 2-hour discussion. We try to keep these at an hour, but thank you, gentlemen, for staying so long, and thank you, audience, for hanging with us. Live long and prosper, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.